Welcome to Sensation and Perception for this summer 2019 semester. My name is Dr. Bernardo de la Garza, and I will be your course instructor this summer for this fantastic course that we're going to be covering. During the course of the semester, there's a lot of things that we're going to be discussing. There's a lot of content that we have to cover between here and the end of the semester. It is a quick couple of weeks that we're going to have between when we start the semester to when we end the semester. There's a lot of work that we also have to complete, and today what I'm going to do is go through the syllabus quite quickly and also our course calendar, just so that way everyone has a sense of what it is that we're going to be doing and how long it's going to be taking throughout the course of the semester. Now, I will go ahead and let you know that this course is 100% online, which that means that we will not be meeting in person at all throughout the summer or anything like that. So if you do have any questions or concerns, please do feel free to email me or contact me any other way that you have available. I will be providing you all with my Google number in the course content a little bit later, so that way if you do have any questions and you need immediate assistance, you are always feel free to give me a call on that number. But email is always preferable. So in terms of the course, what are we going to be covering this semester? We're going to be covering a lot of content, especially physiological experiences associated with our human sensory systems. So the purpose of our course is really to go through an overview of how the brain systems and our sensory systems function together and interpret the world that we live in and try to make sense of the world that we live in. So in terms of our content, we will be using a textbook this semester that is going to be helping us understand our content a little bit better aside from my lectures, and that textbook is our Golsing and Brockmel textbook. Now, this textbook is Sensation and Perception. It's our 10th edition. It's a little bit pricey, and I do apologize for that in advance, but it is a great and fantastic resource that we are able to use for the purposes of this course. I will be providing you with the first 4 chapters associated with our with the textbook, so that will give you enough time to be able to get your hands on the textbook any way that you possibly can. I do strongly recommend maybe using other sites and other services such as electronic books or used textbooks, so that way it comes out a little bit cheaper for you. Now, I did mention also that I was going to be providing lectures. Our lectures this semester are going to be exactly the way that I'm providing lectures for you at this moment. Essentially, what I'm going to do is I am going to record my video presentations, record my video lectures. I'll be posting that on Blackboard for you. So every week you should have a couple of video lectures associated with our content that we're going to be covering that week. And it is very important for you to watch both the video lectures and also read the textbook, since I don't necessarily cover all the material that is in our chapters, but rather the chapters themselves are there to supplement my work, not the other way around. So it is important for you all to be able to look at both the lectures and also do the readings ahead of time. It is very, very important to do that. Now, I will be providing you all with my PowerPoint slides, and I will also be providing you all with numerous examples throughout the lectures themselves. So it is very important for you to, again, as I mentioned, do both, so that way you are able to keep up with the course content and with the course material throughout the course of the semester. Now, in terms of it being a successful course this semester, it is important that you understand that it is part of your responsibility to be providing the content, or not necessarily providing the content, but providing the work associated with the content that I'm providing with you. So here it is, again, your responsibility to be watching the lectures that I will be posting, and again, reading the textbook, completing the quizzes, completing any discussion boards that we may have this semester, or any other assignments. Now, in terms of our course, there are a number of ways to earn points throughout this course of the semester. Our first way of earning points this semester is going to be through 2 exams. Our 2 exams that we're going to offer are going to be your midterm exam and your final exam. Each exam is worth 32% of your final grade, yielding a total of 64% of your final grade. I can go ahead and let you all know in advance, your 2 exams are going to be made up of multiple choice questions, and then 1 long or 2 long answer questions. As we approach our first exam in a couple of weeks, I will go ahead and give you a little bit more detail and give you an exam information sheet, just so that way you have a better idea of what that's going to look like. But it is, again, going to be important for you to know that it is going to be made up of multiple choice and long answers. Now, for your exams, they are going to be completed 100% through Blackboard, so there is no need for you to go to any testing centers or anything like that, and you are going to have a number of days to be able to complete the exam. So it's not going to be due necessarily, let's say, from 8 to noon or anything like that on one particular day, but rather you're going to have a couple of days to be able to complete your exam. Now, it is important to also note that your exams and your quizzes only have 1 opportunity to be completed. So it is important for you to complete your exam at 1 sitting. It does not have a time limit or anything like that, but you cannot come back to your exam at a later point in time to be able to finish it. So there is no saving half of your exam and then coming back later on, or I'm going to leave the exam open, I'll come back a couple of hours later and finish it after that. Unless you keep your computer active, Blackboard will kick you out and it will automatically submit your quiz and your exam. So again, I do recommend that if you are going to be completing your exam and or your quizzes, dedicate enough time to be able to complete both of those works this semester. Now, in terms of our quiz, as I did mention, we are going to have a number of quizzes. We are going to have, if I'm not mistaken, 13 quizzes for our class this semester, yielding a total of 26%, each quiz yielding 2% of your final grade. Your quizzes are all going to be due on Fridays of every single week. Generally speaking, for instance, our first week or our second week of class, we are going to have a number of quizzes that are all going to be due by that Friday, so it is important for you to make sure that you are completing your quizzes again in a timely fashion. Give yourself enough time to complete all your quizzes by the due date. And again, all quizzes are generally due by Friday by 11:59 p.m. unless I otherwise specify, but again, generally speaking, they're all due by that time. Now, in terms of your quizzes, they are going to be made up of 10 multiple choice items. So again, dedicating enough time is going to be important to be able to completing those quizzes successfully. Now, our last option to be able to earn points this semester is going to be through discussion boards. We are going to have 5 discussion boards that we're going to be completing this semester. Our 5 discussion boards are going to include this particular week and then 4 subsequent weeks as well. Now, in terms of your discussion boards, each one is going to be worth 2% of your final grade, yielding a total of 10% of your final grade. That total is going to yield us 100% of your final grade by the end of the semester. Now, in terms of your work, it is going to be very, very important for you to also note that part of what you're going to be doing this semester in terms of your discussion boards is discussing the content associated with your chapters. Now, you don't have to discuss every single one of the chapters. You can pick one specific theme from one of the chapters that we've been discussing for that particular week. And it is also important to note that my discussion boards are a little bit different than the discussion boards you may complete for other classes. Now, in other classes, they may require you to reply back to everybody's post from the class, and that can be very frustrating for a student. And to be honest, it's very frustrating for me as well, because I understand how our responses end up being towards the end of everybody else's post. Your first post might be very well thought out. It might be very informative and providing good feedback to the person who wrote that post, but towards the end, they always become more of, good job, hadn't thought of that, well done, excellent comment. So in reality, I know that that doesn't necessarily work very effectively. So my discussion boards are made up of the following format. You are required to do one initial post. Your initial post is a well-formulated thought associated with anything that we may have discussed in terms of your chapter readings, in terms of an observation that you may have made in terms of the real world, that you want to tie back into something that we talked about in lecture or that we talked about in the chapter readings. It could be anything associated with lecture itself. It could really be about anything that you want, just it has to be about the content that we're covering for that particular week. There is no specific question or specific guide that I'm going to give you associated with what you have to answer. It's really up in the air as to what it is that you want to respond. It just has to be relevant to that week's discussion. So that is one good post that you have to make. That's your initial post. Those are always due by Fridays by 11:59 p.m. of every week. Your reply post has to be done by Sunday by 11:59 p.m. of that same week. Now, your reply post, here's the catch. You only have to reply back to one person. You don't have to reply back to everybody else. You only have to reply back to one person. With that in mind, that reply has to be well thought out. Again, it cannot be something that is not well thought out. And here, having a reply such as, great, awesome, good comment, hadn't really thought about that. But rather, since it's one reply that you have to do, provide good feedback, provide a well thought out response to that person. Now, since we are going to be having an online discussion-based board, it is important for you to also note that part of what we're going to be doing this semester is making sure that we have a positive learning environment. What does it mean to have a positive learning environment? It means that if at any point in time I notice that anybody's providing or doing some type of cyberbullying, being negative towards other students, making comments that might potentially be hurtful, derogatory, or insensitive in some particular way, that is definitely something that I will take note of, and I will contact you immediately. And I will also contact our student services so that way they can handle that particular situation. Now, again, as I mentioned, we are going to have a very, very, very quick couple of weeks during the summer session, so it is important to be dedicated to the class, especially that it is an online class. Just because it is an online class doesn't mean that it's going to be any less work than if it was a physical class, and just because it's the summer doesn't mean it's going to be any less work than if that would be during the regular semester. So if anything, summer classes are a lot tougher because there's a lot of content that we have to cover, the same amount of content. We cover it the exact same way, and we have only a very short couple of weeks to be able to do that. The last couple of comments here that I want to make for you is in terms of scholastic dishonesty. If any issues arise associated with scholastic dishonesty, if I notice that you're cheating, if you are doing the work with other individuals and submitting the same work, that is going to be problematic, and I am going to give you a 0 for that assignment and for the course itself. And again, I will contact student services so that way they can deal with you appropriately, but you will no longer be welcome in terms of the class. Now, also, it is important for you to note that if you do have any type of disability or anything like that, please contact Disability Services, and they will make sure to contact me in regards to making proper accommodations for you for the class. Now, as I did mention, I did want to very quickly here look at our course calendar, and here I've already provided for you every single one of our assignments that is due this semester in terms of our quizzes, in terms of our discussion board. So you'll notice here, for instance, for this particular week for our course orientation, we do have a discussion board. Our initial post is due by Friday. Our reply post is due by Sunday of this week. We also have an email professionalism quiz that is due. And then anything else that I have provided for you within that week 1 module is going to be due for this particular week. And again, our due date is going to be by Sunday of that particular week. Then we move on to our second week, and here you'll start to notice that we have quite a bit of work. So now all of a sudden we start having 4 chapters that are due. That following week, the third week, now we have 3 chapters that are going to be due. Then we have our midterm exam. And again, as you'll notice, your midterm exam is going to be due on the 28th of the month, but it'll become available for you on the 25th of the month. So you'll have pretty much 3 full days to be able to complete your midterm exam and also your final exam when it comes up. Now here, if you do have any questions or concerns in regards to the course content or any of the content that I'm going to be covering, please feel free to contact me, since it is important for you to be able to get clarification if you do need any clarification at any point in time. Now very quickly here, I did want to show you all what our course is going to be looking like for the purposes of Blackboard. So when you do enter Blackboard, the first thing that you're going to see here is you're going to see your welcome page. Now in terms of your welcome page, it's going to welcome you to our class, give you an idea of what the structure of the course is going to be, links to textbooks.com, so that way you can find your textbook a little bit, as I mentioned, less expensive than what it is that we might find at typical bookstores or anything else like that. If you go ahead and now click on syllabus and calendar, under course syllabus and calendar, here you're going to find copies of our course syllabus, our course calendar as well. Again, anything related to our textbook information here, the textbook picture as well that you all should have received an email a couple of days ago in regards to, so that way you can get your textbook as quickly as possible. Once we're done going through here, you do have an email link associated with emailing me or emailing other students in the class. So if you do have questions or concerns, please do feel free to click on that link and that will send me an email. The next thing to do here is, after you've gone through the course syllabus and the course schedule, is click on weekly modules. Here within weekly modules, you'll notice we have week 1 available for you. So if you go ahead and click on week 1, here you're going to find an information sheet. If you do click on that information sheet, it's going to tell you what is due for this particular week and what it is that you should be completing in what specific order. Now here, it's not necessarily important that you've completed in that specific order, but it is generally helpful for you to complete it in that specific order. Now, once it is that you are done looking at the information sheet, and you can use it as a checklist, I always do, go through and again complete the discussion board, and then also complete the email professionalism quiz that we will have available for you to be able to complete at that time. All right, that wraps up our discussion associated with our course. I hope that everyone is ready to have a fantastic time this semester. And if you do have any questions or concerns, please do feel free to contact me as soon as possible.